ferns ever? Zach Galifianakis.
I mean, yeah, that's like 10 years ago, though.
Yeah, it's so old. Yeah, but that's what it reminds me of.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I need another fern, though. I mean, it's fake, so
it's beside one. It's not even a fern. I don't know. We can't come up with a good name for that. But.
Camelus monimus next to one fern and one rippled glass wall to distort your reality and this one.
I hear a background. Is that you guys? Oh, you know what it is? It's my other computer. Babe, could you hit the mute on that? Thank you.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, I hope it's not me.
Are you, Camel Moon, are you on the moon now?
Here I am. Thanks, babe. Yes. I am. I'm always on the moon.
Broadcasting from the moon.
Uh-huh. Just like Space Ghost.
Love it. And we are live. Welcome everyone to the show. Marsh Makes Comics. Hello. Ara Glenian is here. Hello. Roland is here. We'll kind of let people get in. We got Camel Moon here. This is going to be, I say this often, but I'm not going to be streaming for a terribly long time. Probably, we started a little late though, but probably about an hour. So we're very happy to have Camel Moon. I'm going to Dr. Camelus Moonanimate. I'm going to say it wrong. Camel Moon is here.
It's made up. So I'm not really a doctor.
All the names now are made up.
I thought for sure it was the Latin.
Yeah.
Your genus and your species.
Uh-huh. Docterus Camelius Moonanimus.
Love it. And then we dropped the links, all the same usual friends. I'm hoping Shane Davis should be able to pop on tonight. So,
that'd be cool.
It'll be good to talk to him. If not tonight, I think he was planning on coming tonight. But yeah, anytime. I'm kind of excited to talk to him because I've seen him around. Technically I was on a stream with him, but I didn't really say much to him.
Ooh.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, with John Malin. So yeah, we'll get this started by, I want to look at your campaign and like a professional, share the screen. There we go.
Oh, there you go. Look at that.
Camel Moon's Hail Salad. Now this comes from, this is linked to, I don't know, why don't you give us a little bit of the backstory here, but I've seen the animations that resemble
resemble a real animation. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like I've told the story a million times, but for those who don't know, the idea of Hail Salad is it's like I take all of the streams between the all caps stuff that Ethan does and Jack's show, and not all of them, but the stuff that I think is funny, and I cut it together and I make a little cartoon out of it. And I would actually say it's probably majority-wise, it's actually probably more Jack's show because there's more interactions between all the characters. And I only really pull certain things from EVS on his show when they're sort of standalone sound bites. And it just kind of suddenly blew up. All of a sudden, people thought it was kind of funny. And I was like, very good. All right, so let's see if we can do a comic for this. The comic is a prequel. It sets up everything for how they get on the spaceship, how they all meet each other. It's all done in the under the guy. Well, not the guys, but it's sort of a retelling of the Iliad, which is so instead of the Trojan War, it's the Trojan War, and it's about how all these guys got together, met, and took on all of the Twitter trolls on the battlefield. And I'm very, very sad to tell you that I wanted to premiere the trailer here tonight with y'all, but unfortunately it won't be done till tomorrow. Oh. So, but the trailer kind of it's kind of sets that tone and that mood, and you have an idea of what it's all going to be about. And we have badass perks. We got little standee toys. We got sticker books, T-shirts. I do head sketches. We got glossy prints. Actually pearlescent prints. And that's all for the first 30 days. Those standees are going to be gone in 2 weeks. And we're ushering in 6 new standees. And we're going to do a lunchbox. There's going to be another variant cover. And Charlie, you're going to do a cover too.
What? Wait a minute. What?
Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I talk to the right person.
Me?
Did this happen last week too? Someone was like, it was Fresher Luke was like, Charlie's going to draw something.
I think he said I was going to draw 10 extra pages or something.
Yeah.
No. We're going to keep it easy.
That actually was surprising. I don't know. I'm assuming my wife goes online and makes deals I'm unaware of.
No,
Camel Moon. Yeah, okay. Camel Moon. I agreed.
Okay. I was like, oh, jeez.
It was me.
Yeah, but I'm excited.
Okay, I'm on the cover. It looks so detailed. So, I mean, the way I draw would be completely different.
I think that's okay. I think that's fine. Okay. You're actually, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say, but you're my favorite artist in CG.
I second.
Yeah,
that, actually,
your stuff is incredible.
Yeah.
So
I was that delighted. Is very kind of you to say. Clint has to say that. I have him under.
That's true though. There's still competition. I mean, you have some really good covers on here. But I don't know. I was thinking of like all the best talent, and I think Kanan White is up there for me. He's just so good.
Kanan's incredible.
Kanan is great. Am I saying it? Rob Willis, yeah, so good, man. Charlie's
Willis
obviously Ethan is so amazing. Fantastic. So many great artists. It's
I mean, those two guys are great, but they're so house style, and I think. That's why I like Charlie's stuff, because it's not necessarily house style. I think like you have a very unique style that is like when I see it, I'm like, okay, that's a Snogan.
Yeah, it's alive.
What does house style mean?
House style, the way when I was, I went to SVA, the School of Visual Arts, and they would say like you have your style and there's house style. And your style is like very much like the way that you want to draw things, the way you interpret things. House style is sort of like, I draw Batman like everyone at DC is taught to draw Batman. It's sort of like indistinguishable. Like you can still have your own style. Like who's the guy who does Batman now? Finch or something like that.
Incredible.
Yeah, Finch. Yeah. And the guy who taught him, who I'm also blanking on his name.
Ethan Van Sciver.
I don't think so. It was someone else that he mentored under. But they're very similar in style, and I wouldn't say they're completely interchangeable, but like their stuff has a very, very broad appeal, and it's because they don't exaggerate anything really, right? I mean, they're not like there's no stretching, there's no anthropomorphizing of anything.
Yeah.
You are a real artist. I heard that.
he's got it figured out.
Not only that, you say nice things about me, based me. I'm a roast. That's beautiful. That's fantastic. So what you're saying is, because I've been in advertising for 20 years, 17 years or so, and you have to not have style. You have to squeeze the round pegs into the square holes. And I always thought I'm okay at it because I'm proficient enough, but I was always, I don't know, Camel Moon. I always felt like a guy that wanted to wear ladies' dresses that wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
And now here I am wearing ladies' dresses.
But you feel better in those dresses, right? Those dresses.
They just the air just, you know how the air goes past your legs. You just feel better.
This is revealing in more ways than one.
So like when I did my covers for Hail Salad, the first two are kind of house style, right? They're like, nothing's really exaggerated. They are very much like, I would imagine if Jim Lee did a cover in the 90s. I mean, I'm not comparing myself to Jim Lee, but I'm just saying like, this is, I want to say basic, but it's like, okay, this is very like kind of, again, sort of interchangeable. And then when I did the painting cover, I was like, okay, I can kind of go a little bit more out there and, kind of be inspired by like guys like Boris Vallejo or Frank Frazetta, that kind of stuff. And Frank Frazetta really didn't exaggerate too much either. But then you think about guys like Simon Bisley, and then or even Max. What's his name? The guy who did the Max.
Sam Keith.
Thank you. Yeah. They still had a painterly style to them, but everything was kind of exaggerated. So that was kind of like where I pulled inspiration for that. And then how I did the cartoon is like none of that, right? It's just sort of like, it's a little bit of BTAS, it's a little bit of Hanna-Barbera. It's just kind of like whatever works, just kind of, if it's big and stupid looking, that's fine as long as the lines are clean and the colors are vibrant.
That's cool.
The animations are brilliant, dude.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Everyone's.
Oh, go ahead, Charlie. They just make me laugh, and it makes me realize too that there's like you have the best, like you were saying with character interactions. It makes me realize, like in a live stream, it's so much better when people are talking back and forth, and there's like this interplay. And I'm like, I know I got to get better at that, but when you see it in animation, it makes more sense.
Oh yeah,
you
can almost like contextualize it a little bit easier sometimes, because like a lot of times I'll be drawing and I'll be listening to one of the streams in the background, so I'm not actually watching it, and then I just kind of imagine, at this point I imagine the cartoons talking to me. But but you do start to see like what the cutaway gags are, and the first 2 episodes I didn't even have cutaway gags, not really. But then I realized that was really almost like a Family Guy episode, the crux of what the episode really was. I was like, if I can start sort of inferring what they're talking about, or kind of like bring a new context to the dialogue they have, it actually can make it funnier.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. And I'm going to welcome Scott McCullough. Scott, we got to talk to you today. I'm glad you popped in.
Hi, Scott.
Yeah,
welcome.
I saw your title, and so the 3 things coincided. Hail salad, of course, because I'm a huge fan of these clips that you do, and I love the look of the campaign.
Well, thank you.
And then I had time, which it seems like here lately I haven't had a whole lot of time. And then, of course, cancel culture. I'm very interested in this lately. So
apparently,
I can talk about that.
Everyone is interested in canceling.
Lately. In a hotel.
Yeah, and so Scott, just so you know, there's a bit of a fan noise. So, which is, I think it's fine. We can understand you and everything, but just if you're quiet for
there's
a while.
No fan noise here. The only noise in here is the piano in the background.
Okay, maybe it's a helicopter or a jet engine. I'm not sure.
I mean, there's literally nothing here except for me breathing into the microphone.
He just rappelled out of the helicopter. He's coming in with the whole tactical SWAT team.
Yeah, I don't know.
No
Maybe
it's just a
I've just come back from the Portland riots. Just the tinnitus in my ear from fireworks going off next to my head.
Well, thanks for taking your mask off.
Yeah. Were you the Antifa or were you one of the National Guards guys? Arresting people.
The
Gestapo, the unmarked Gestapo. Yeah, that's me.
Nice. I keep seeing video from that. It's just like, what on earth is going on?
So I've started on Twitter. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I've started just every time I find a good video clip, I just hashtag peaceful protest and quote retweet it, because clearly that's what it is, a peaceful protest.
Well, obviously. Well, so I want to shift gears here a little bit, especially because Scott's here. But speaking of cancel culture, this was infuriating to me. I mentioned this in my video today, but your colorist, Farah, was basically, she's getting a little bit of harassment. I don't know what to call it, but the usual suspects are trying to get her to quit coloring jobs.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's risen to the level of harassment. When I talked to her this morning, still she had not been contacted, but who knows what happened today, and it's now morning there where she's at, and so I'll probably when we get off of this live stream, I'll probably contact her, and maybe I'll do that while we're on the, just to see if I can get her to comment, but yeah, I mean, so I think they haven't harassed her. So here's one of the things I hate about this whole thing. Let's not call it something it is. She hasn't been harassed yet because nobody's actually gone out of their way to contact her.
Okay.
But they've come to notice her, and they know that she's maybe not associated with CG directly, but she's working for CG, so she needs to be educated, and that's one of the things that Ren said in one of her posts, I think. Yeah. And the idea is she needs to understand the realities of who she's dealing with,
because she's not an adult and she can't do that for herself.
Exactly right.
Right. Yeah.
She's a child. She's lucky that she can even hold a pencil up.
That's right. The words of the stranger will hold much more weight than the repeated interactions with several CG professionals over the last year.
Who pay her.
Yeah, and paychecks. Yeah, there's that too.
So this woman is such a great colorist, right? That she quit her studio job to work full time on coloring jobs for CG, and she has had to now hire flatteners to pick up her light work because she's getting so much work. She's turning away CG jobs because she's got so much work. She's she's raising her rates, and I explained to her, I was like, listen, the way it works with your rates is you just kind of every time a new job comes in, especially if you're busy, just raise it up about $5 more, and then you'll find the point at which people say no mas, right? And then you lower it $5 from there, and then that becomes your rate going forward until you need more work, and then maybe if you want more work, you lower your rate. So I mean, she's learning about being an entrepreneur, and I feel I found her and I brought her to Comicsgate, but man, we as a community, we really nurture her talent. And she's growing, and in Peregrine, I mean, I'm seeing what the work that she's doing, and the stuff that she did with Super Harem, which I think was her first gig after Door Kickers, and then people are going to have her work on their hands. Super Harem went out. Door Kickers is physically here, sitting right next to me. It's right here, So people are going to start seeing her work, and they're going to appreciate her for that. And they're going to let her know that she's a valued member of this community, whether she wants to be directly associated with Comicsgate or just be a pro that helps us out.
That's the thing too, is like Zach brings this up in his videos, and it's true for me too. I never officially was like, hey, everybody, I am joining Comicsgate. I filled out the paperwork. That's just, you see what's going on, and you see like-minded people, and you associate, and that, you know what I mean? Like you do business, you share your opinion freely, like all that kind of stuff, and that's good enough for weirdos on the internet. So I don't know, like it comes down to guilt by association, and so the fact that they can call it Comicsgate, I guess, makes it convenient for them.
But this woman, I don't think she really cares if she changes anyone's mind. I mean, she's just doing this to keep herself relevant. I mean, and that's why she posted before she even spoke with the colorist. I'm sorry, I forget her name, but because it's virtue signaling from jump, right? She doesn't really care what the outcome is. It's just whether or not she can get her woke points in for the day, and then. If she can, great. But if she can't, it doesn't matter because she already got the likes on that post 3 days ago.
And it's really a threat, which is kind of how I took it. Like, hey, we're gonna stop your colorist from working with you. I mean, that's sort of the way I took it. Is that it's more of just the threat, and hopefully, probably she won't actually reach out because it's not really about that. It's about trying to look powerful on Twitter.
Right.
So much more under the radar, and this is kind of ironic because it happened the same weekend. So I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Door Kickers campaign. I had 3 covers and then a print, and the print was by this guy named Gabo Elias, and he's a Chilean artist, extremely nice guy, very talented artist. And I just randomly found him on Facebook, and I saw his stuff, and I immediately reached out. I said, "Hey, I love your stuff," because he had that kind of gritty. He did military stuff really well, and so over the weekend, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, he posted something on Instagram. I want to say on Friday, and said, listen, I don't endorse hate. I'm blah blah blah. One of these kind of like inclusion statements, right? As a graphic on his Instagram." And then I read, and so he's speaking in Spanish on his post, and he had I could see Comicsgate with 2 asterisks over 2 of the vowels, and so it was like, you know, the kind of like, he's afraid to even put the word Comicsgate in his post because, you know, he thinks it's like a bad word. It's people have told him this is a bad word. And now I don't think this is a Ren kind of like mainstream US folks reaching out to him. I think these are local people who are involved in the comic industry who have just, oh my God, this is like the KKK of comics, right? You know, you can't be associated with this. I said, you did this work for this guy who says he's Comicsgate. And so I reached out to him and I said, hey, listen, this is not who we are. And I kind of laid my kind of principles out to him. He said, listen, I know that you're a good person. I'm not saying that you are like this. He's like, but you have to understand the realities of the people that I work with and that I'm friends with. And so I still don't know if he's going to, because the idea was I loved his art so much, he was going to do the art for Door Kickers too. But now I don't know if that's going to happen. So I'm going to work on him. I'm going to start showing him some stuff. And, you know, I'm going to show him the Whisper Network article and some of the other stuff that's out there here lately. Some of this back and forth with Jay Lee and Tom King is going to be helpful, I think. But ultimately, this is the kind of effect that, I mean, you know, it's a big setback for me if I have to find a new artist for Door Kickers, because Door Kickers is kind of a niche thing and you need the right artist for it. So, I mean, I just don't. Well, and kind of effect that it has on people like me.
After having a whole book of experience working together too, that's a big deal. I mean, really, like have with a creative team. So that's frustrating. I hope everything goes smoothly and, you know, things look good for the future. Again, though, like it bothers me so much, the term hate group, because you can look online, like the Southern Poverty Law Center has a list of hate groups. Comicsgate doesn't happen to be on the list. But
well, we're not trying hard enough, friends.
We'll get there. I believe in us. I believe in our hate.
I'm gonna welcome Vaughn Klaus to the stream and also Shane Davis. Hello, guys. How's it going?
How's it going, Clint?
Clint, it's good to be on. It's going pretty good. Thanks,
Vaughn Klaus, the voice of hate himself.
That's right.
Oh, he's got like a smooth, velvety.
That's right.
Voice. You couldn't. I mean, it's like almost soulful. Maybe it's cultural appropriation. I don't know.
The charming murderer.
He hates you. He hates you, but he hates himself just as much.
Dude, make no mistake. Shit comes in all hues. I hate everyone. All right, equally.
Well,
you're all equal in my eyes.
Except he doesn't hate.
It's not
Shane.
real. It's not true. I love all of you. I love you. I love the fans. I love that. I don't love what people do. That's the thing that I always want to tell SJWs when they go, "Oh, you just hate women." No. I just hate what you guys do. It's your actions that I got a problem with. I don't care what your gender or skin is, you know. Just stop ruining the fun for everybody. Right. Well, come on. Now.
And if you go through this week, so Farah is a woman. Surprise. She's also, where's she from? Indonesia?
Indonesia. She's Asian. So she's Asian. And then on top of that, the trifecta of all, the war, you know, the war criminal himself, Door Kicker Scott, has hired a Muslim to color his comic and to draw his comic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing is nobody cares. That's the thing is I keep hearing about all this racism stuff. I'm like, no one cares. But this week you've had how many Asians have been attacked by mainstream comic book pros? It's like you guys don't see. We could literally say the same thing, that you've attacked marginalized creators and women. We could, like the same thing. It's like, can we just treat people as individuals? I don't know, man.
You can't. No. Not when you're collective. Not when you're an SJW. Individuality is something they're against.
Yeah. I don't know if you can tell because I'm a Latina Fantastica. It just the lighting in here. It's a little rough. So I look like a bald guy from New Jersey. It's a little harsh because the lighting's harsh. But I'm actually just a sexy Latina.
We know now.
Yeah. So funny enough, my wife's co-writing the book we're working on, the Starlight Cats, and she had posted she's Asian from Singapore, and actually our main character's Singaporean, and it takes place in Singapore. So she spoke up about some of this, and they were like, "Oh, that's even worse. Your husband's racist because he married you." Like it went into, they were basically explaining to her like how our marriage is proof of racism, which the fact that they were actually saying that to my wife directly, yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Oh my!
I think Rifimus was part of it, and it was just like, it just like to see somebody convince my wife how I'm racist because I married her, and see that argument unfold was kind of mind opening.
Hey, Shane, my wife's Korean, and you should have seen how mad she got when she found out that they were trying to cancel my Asian colorist. So
it's
I saw that the colorist
thing. Off the Asians, man.
Yeah,
Shane, I have no.
Oh, sorry. Dogma is a hell of a drug, guys. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't matter if you marry them; they're going to tell you you have racism, because for them, racism is original sin. You understand? But only for us. No one else is
because because my wife's co-writing, I'm kind of working for her. So it's like, I don't know. This argument's so flawed in so many ways. It's interesting.
It's not even an argument. What it is you're expecting, or any of us, we have to stop expecting people that arrived at a position not through reason.
Yeah, there's no rationale.
To leave it through reason. They never got there through reason. Reason has nothing to do with it. In fact, most of us, you're drawing comics, and then you're expecting somebody to have reasons. There's no reasons for anything. They're all out of their minds. The people who are using just a little bit of reason, maybe they can launch a NASA shuttle. Maybe they can figure out a computer.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a little bit of reason. These people have zero. And they got there through. I mean, they were taught. Here's you should feel sad for them. They heard it kindergarten until they were 23, and then they went into the world. These were essentially they're abused children, and they're out in the world, and now they're going to accuse you of this and that. Just pity them.
What's kind of sad is a lot of these people, if they spent half as much time honing their skill and working on their craft than they do trying to cancel people online, they would be so fucking good. They could get jobs doing anything anywhere. But because they don't do that, they can't do that, and then they inevitably have to end up trying to, stop the people who are doing that, and that actually infuriates them because you become this sort of like Black Mirror representation of who they wish they were.
So I just want to push back on one point that Charlie mentioned. I mean, I think so. It's not that there's no reason. There is a reason, but the thing is, the reason comes from the guy behind the guy behind the guy. Right? They have reason. The way to destroy and deconstruct, U.S. culture is to go after pop culture and to go after things like education and things like that. And so
that guy is Karl Marx.
Exactly. I mean, the whole and that's how they get to where they are today. I mean, this has been going on since the 60s. Nobody cared about it. I'll let those crazy professors talk about this stuff because that's no big deal. That's great. That's how critical racial theory and critical theory in general came about in the 80s.
Yeah.
Here's where we are 40 years later.
I'm inclined to share your position, but I've recently just come away. Maybe I agreed with you recently, but I've come out of it just thinking, I don't know. They've been in church for years, and they've been told to face that way and pray that way, and
no, you're right.
It's not Jesus up there. It's whatever you want to put up there.
The reason behind what they're doing is the priesthood that's behind them, and those people are so far in the shadows. I mean, there's really a puppet master kind of relationship. None of the people that are on the streets today, or none of these people on Twitter that are trying to cancel Farah or cause monetary damage to CG campaigns, they couldn't explain this to you because they don't understand it. And a lot of them, when they do find out, that's when the whole red pill phenomenon happens, because most people are not evil people. I mean, a lot of people on Twitter literally think that we are holding Nazi meetings, when turns this off, and that we are haters. We are literally haters. Well, because they only believe what this dogma that they suck in.
Well, clan meetings.
It's the Sweetcast. That symbol is an actual swastika.
Surrounded by a
the swirl.
It's
will
swirling to hypnotize you.
It's a swastika-cast.
Join it.
Let's go.
Swastika.
My thumbnail for my video today was the Emperor's new clothes, right? The Emperor's new clothes, because what I'm noticing is that every single time there are people that I feel like really know better, honestly. Like, remember Sean Gordon Murphy, someone asked him point blank, is Ethan Van Sciver a Nazi? And he said, no, of course he's not. And they know that we're not racist and Nazis, but they have to say it. It's this performance. It's if we're going to go with the religious symbology, it's like it's their sacrament. They've got a virtue signal in front of everybody, and do this performance to prove that they are one of the good people, and that'll keep them alive a little bit longer.
Until they finally come for that person, because
it's going to happen. Yep.
It's the labeling is to silence you. I mean, so no one will listen when you tell the truth.
Yeah,
it's designed that way.
Yep. Yeah. Well, so I want to sort of shift over to Shane Davis. So I know I've noticed too, past few weeks, I think you'll get people coming at you now because I guess you're not, I don't know. Tell me how this experience has been for you over the past few weeks, month or so.
Okay, hang on. Let me add to what you were just saying before, and then I'll go into that. There's also been a big shift in definitions. Like the definition of racism's changed, and the definition of Nazi has changed. People misuse, once you start to misuse a word over and over again, like it starts to lose its definition. Like Nazi, everybody wants to call punch a Nazi, do this, and like, what does a Nazi even mean anymore? The definition was something else years ago and was supposed to mean something. That was a big deal, that word,
it's watered down.
Whatever. Yeah. But you start to define, so like sometimes I wonder if we end up in weird debates with people just because they have a different version of that word than what it was the definition originally. But anyways, back to what you were saying. It's been interesting the last little bit. I have an interesting story, not that I'm going to go all into that, but like I was part of Whisper campaigns, not part of, they were just, at the time they were called just artist groups, private groups. And I kind of saw this back in into 2016, beginning of 2017, take a big turn when people were trying to cancel Ethan. And I ended up getting in arguments with other comic artists because they were basically just in the group trying to talk about how he should be work taken away from him and whatever. Like they really just wanted a takedown. So in hindsight, that's what it was now looking back at it. But so I've seen like a lot of this rift and divide happen. I've had issues with certain people in creative before over stuff like that. But going forward, like, I had talked to Ethan. He had asked me years ago, well, you should come just join up in Comicsgate and just do some creator-owned stuff over here. He told me about, even showed me some artwork at Cyberfrog. And at the time, I had family issues I told him about, and he was just like, he just said I had too much going on to deal with it. I didn't really understand the waves of attacks. It wasn't until I got involved with it that I started to notice how this works. And it's interesting in a way because I've had a lot of creatives I've known for 10, 15 years, maybe more, maybe even going close to 20, just kind of like lash out at me the minute I said I was going to be Comicsgate or Go CG and stuff like that. So some in private, some publicly, some just freaking out. I'm even on Ethan's radar on his channel, or why were you talking to me a month ago? And it's like, well, I was just having a conversation with you. Well, what are you telling people? And it's like, nothing. I mean, our conversations are private, So I don't understand the divide even from my friends, like if I mention Comicsgate to somebody, they would just quickly say they do a white supremacist book, and I'm like, do they? Like, what book was that? Well, I
What
don't
book?
know.
What is it?
I would say, you know, and that was the
It was the Hail
conversation.
Salad Calamone book.
Is it Hail Salad? Is that the white supremacy?
Yeah,
There
Hail
it is.
Salad.
There it is on the screen.
Kind of supremacy.
Still unaware.
But when
replaced.
if you try to talk to them about it, though, that's the messed up thing. They don't want to they don't want to investigate into it. They just say, "Oh my God, I heard this," and that's it. There's no open conversation about Comicsgate with the general populace. What's the weirdest thing to me, though, is once I think I was like on Eric's show or something when he was closing out Battle Brick Road, and I think Charlie, you were there, but somebody in the chat, some of the people there, like somebody that was on, and even the chat wanted me to. They kept egging him on to ask me a question, and the question was, "What do they think of us?" And that's the crazy thing, is that there's a wall between CG customers and the mainstream, that they're so divided between the mainstream that they're like, well, what do the people on the other side of that wall think of us? Yeah. And, and that to me was just weird, because that's just that there is no wall. That's just people turning their backs on them. That's just CGers turning their back on, mainstream comics altogether. There's no wall there. They're just not turning their head to look and see what's behind them.
Who's built the wall? Was it? Was it you? Was it Clint?
No, it's probably honestly people calling CGers Nazis. I think that's the wall.
It's fear. It's a fear wall. And what it is if you deviate from what they tell you, then you're going to be ostracized and from the group and shamed and attacked. And in order to stay a goodie and in the little group, you shouldn't even look into it. I mean, we are tainted goods. We're evil, whatever.
All right, but
it really is like we're taking on a cult. Why? Because this is how these people operate. This is how they control. I mean, you guys were talking about language being changed and definitions being changed. That's about control too. It controls how you think and how you express yourself. That's why they're all about making up definitions and changing definitions. So that's what I believe it is. And I think the people who are Comicsgate, who are like, screw the mainstream, are just people where there's nothing in the mainstream for them anymore. And so, yes, they have turned their backs for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, but in a way, you have to understand, it's not that they told these people specifically, like, you're not welcome, but the attitude in which these people create their far left art is that you're not welcome, that this is not for you, that this is for the poor, marginalized, or the minorities, or the women, or the whatever. And that you kind of need not apply unless you're going to read it and praise it. Then you need to shut the hell up because you had your fun and it's our turn. They have this really nasty attitude. I see them as coming into comics just swinging. And then whenever people went, hey, whoa, what are you doing? They were like, shut up, Nazi. Of course you hate women. Like there's no way to talk to them about how what they're doing is hurting, because they believe that what they're doing is changing the world for the better.
Yeah. I think what's really ironic is that they actively want everybody out of the industry that they don't, deem to be fit for it. So a lot of guys now have left Marvel, DC, Image, IDW, et cetera, and then so they go to start their own thing, but that's not enough. We can't have our own thing. Now even that has to be broken up. It's just like, I don't understand why you give such a shit about, like, do you want us to just die in a desert? Because we still need to make money.
Well, we're telling the truth, and that's very inconvenient for them.
One of the things that Vaughn said that's so spot on, I just want to highlight this real quick, is the whole idea of the wall of fear, right? Is 90% of comics readers and people who consume stuff in comic shops on a weekly basis, they don't care about this conflict. And
no, they don't give a shit.
And they're the normies of the comic industry. And A, they either don't know about the conflict, or B, when they find out about it, they're just like, oh, whatever. I mean, it's like, it's not even the fact that the word Nazi comes up or anything like that. They just don't want a part of drama. They just want to read fun books. And this is why a lot of them have just dropped out, because, as they kind of aged up, and video games and things like that are just more fun, and the drama that's infecting these stories, just spills out onto the pages. They're just like, deuces. You know, I mean, this is not for me.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's a lot. I mean, I know Vaughn and Clint, I've talked to you guys about this in the past. Several people have reached out to me and said, listen, I'm back in your book. I mean, I haven't read a comic book in 5-10 years, but I think this looks cool. And I came across it, by accident, and here I am. So I think that's what a lot of what we're getting with Comicsgate are people who they're not in it for the drama. They just wanted a fun book. And a lot of people are just coming back for that reason.
There's so many reasons to not buy comics too. There's just many comics out there that, like, for me personally, it's like, okay, if I want to buy some comics that I can read today, like I'm more likely to just pick up an omnibus or something that I haven't read, something old stuff. Yeah, because you're taking such a risk on getting a modern comic. I got to the point before I had even knew that Comicsgate was a thing. I was just so particular at checking what is in this book first, because I don't want to spend money on it and get talked down to by whoever's writing the thing. I don't know. So it's just the easy part is you give people a reason to buy your comic. You're making your own. You don't have the corporate, because I think it's sort of twofold, but the corporate overlords who are looking for the reward of being woke. And then also the creators that just have, an axe to grind. Speaking of an axe to grind, how's that?
That's really cool.
This is for you.
Thank you. So tonight I almost finished all the lettering edits that Eric and I are going to implement into Monster MD, and the book's killer, man. This is such a killer book. You guys are going to love it. We are so close to being done. It's not even funny. So,
dude, I'm excited. And thanks, Comics Exposed, for the super chat, $5. I really appreciate that. Man, a lot of really good comics that I'm looking forward to. They're coming out soon. One of those is Hell Salad. Why don't we take a little commercial break here for Hell Salad? Camel Moon is here, the man of the hour. Why don't you give us a little pitch for Hell
Another
Salad?
pitch, yeah. Buy my book. Buy my book. Yeah, so it's like I was saying earlier, it's a prequel, and it's the first half. So at the end of this campaign, I'm going to start gearing up for the next campaign for the second half. And I think with that half, I'm going to probably be selling the first season of Hail Salads. It'll be either 10 or 12 episodes, and we have lots of new characters coming for that. And the comic, gosh, I don't want to completely repeat myself, but it's 32 pages. It's color. I did all the artwork myself and wrote it. And I think it'll be funny. I hope it's funny.
The confidence.
Yeah.
It looks great. I mean, the animations always crack me up. Just like little things, comedic timing with, like you were saying, cutaways, adding new context and stuff. It makes it pretty fun. So yeah, check it out. Link is in both the description and I posted it in the chat.
Yeah, we're gonna do. We're at 23,000, a little over at 25,000. So like instead of doing a regular ash can, I did an ash can sticker book, and it comes with a bunch of holofoil stickers, and you can put the stickers in there as sort of like a Mad Lib style to like kind of create your own story, which I thought was kind of similar to the cartoon itself, right? So I'm just kind of like mixing and matching sentences to try to make little storylines. So I let the reader do that the same way. And at 25,000, it unlocks 6 more stickers. And should that be fruitful and something that somebody likes or people like, then I'll do that again for another stretch goal. And then at 500 backers, we're gonna do the EVS logo enamel pin, which is at the bottom of the page. It was in episode 4, so everyone. I kept getting that one there. So, and that looks great as an enamel pin. That's coming soon, and that goes to everyone, which is nice. So it doesn't matter what you back at, you can get that. And then the naked EVS standee figure, I think I mean, we're only about halfway there. I'd like to make that unlockable at 50 grand. And then that'll go to anyone who's backed over $50.
Is it censored, or can you see his PVS?
Yeah, it's funny because when I was designing it, I had the option because I've actually had to draw it in because when you're censoring it, I needed to make sure that it actually made sense because otherwise, I was worried that if you saw a black bar and then it moved over too far, you'd see like a nub, and I didn't want that. So I actually had to draw a little ding dong on them, and
it's to scale.
I was gonna make the Sandy with it and then put like black electrical tape over it if you wanted to peel it off. But the company I'm dealing with, I think they're a little like on the up and up, so I wasn't really able to push that through.
So they've been wondering from the very first thing, what are we doing?
Who is this guy sending us this weird shit? We have like a Bonnie Goat standee coming, and he's totally.
I really wish he was holding a cigar here in this pose.
Oh yeah.
This could be a Comics Code Authority. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah. So, and then what is it? So I'll get them in the mail soon, but starting, so we have 14 days left on this campaign, we're on the 30 days until the next 30 days. And then for the next 30 days, we have all new standees coming in. So it's going to be sort of a refresh. So if you like the standees you see now, get them now because they won't be available in 2 weeks.
Cool. Nice. Can I ask a pointed question?
Yes.
What's Camel Moon? Where'd you get
What
that?
is Camel Moon?
What
does it mean?
Moon? Two humps passing the moonlight? What do you mean?
Yeah. So it's funny. I used to tell people that Camel Moon was like a drink that you would order at a speakeasy. Like you'd go in and you say, "Give me a Camel Moon," and like the two ice cubes represented the humps of the camel, and then the moon was the moonshine. And that always people believed it, but that's not what it means at all. I just made that up. So, but you can use that. I mean, if you want to go,
excellent stuff.
Yeah. If I ever need to confuse a bartender,
that's for Camel Moon. Yeah.
Take 2 Camel Moons. You're on.
Maybe it'll be a drink now. It's just scotch on the rocks. That's all it is.
When I go to the bar, it's so important. I call the bartender, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'll take 2 scotches, please.
I'll take 2 Camel Moon.
And 2 scotches for me too.
What it really was like 20-something years ago. I was painting something in Photoshop, and my mother called me for dinner, so I had to just like come up with a quick naming convention. And it was a woman in the moonlight smoking a cigarette, but I didn't know how to spell cigarette. But my parents used to smoke Camel Lights, so I just wrote Camel-Moon, and it just kind of stuck with me. And then I was like, oh yeah, if I ever have a company one day, that's what I'll call it.
That sounds an awful lot like how I came up with my name too. It's like your internet name is just an afterthought, and then you're stuck with it.
Yeah, but I like it, and it it has like kind of a level of class, I think, and when it's not being completely compared to Camel Toe Poon or anything. But outside of that, it's fine.
Well, at least it's
tell me more about your childhood, Camel Moon. Tell me more about your childhood.
Dr.
You saw your mother and your father kissing, and that upset you?
Did one of them have a camel toe and the other one a moose paw?
Then I dreamt that I was going in the tunnel and then out of the tunnel and then into the tunnel. And my father said, "Get out of the room!" So I ran.
Oh my! Speaking of awkward situations, so here's I'm transitioning here. This is Fatal. This is the wraparound cover. Looks fantastic. Shown it on stream, and we do have the pre-launch page.
How long does it take you to do a wraparound like that?
That the guy and the 2 lizards on the right, I drew in an hour. It was quick.
Oh yeah.
The vehicle and the chicks was longer, and then that building that's straight behind the girl blasting the laser thing. I redrew that building over and over and over and over again. Every version I drew of it was distracting. Then this one looked like a dick. Then the next one, then it was just redraw. That took a day to redraw the building, and it was just, I don't know, maybe, I don't know what, because sometimes things happen real quick here, and then one thing snags me, and I'm stuck for a day. So maybe it took. You think of it as it's 2 comic book pages essentially, right?
Yeah.
A day to pencil each side, a day to ink each side, and then a day to, maybe the whole thing took a week.
Oh, okay.
Is that too long? Is that?
I don't think
it
so.
It felt like it took too. As I was doing it, I thought this should be happening faster, and then I was done. I thought I'm missing stuff, and then I said, "What am I missing?" And Vaughn said, "You need more effects." And I said, "God damn it, Vaughn!"
Lasers.
That thing on the right. More lasers, more lights.
So is your is the Hail Salad cover? Is it going to be a wraparound like this? Can I convince you to make it a wraparound like this?
I don't know, dude. I need a lot of convincing. You went to
a lot of monetary convincing.
You went to SVA, right?
I did, yeah.
Did I hear you say that? I went to FIT.
Oh, I had decided not to go there. I was going to. My sister ended up going there. But I got into a bunch of places.
It was 1/10 of the price, and
yeah,
in the same neighborhood, right?
Yeah, because I remember at the time this was in 2000, right? So there weren't a lot of schools that were. Oh, well, maybe we're the same age. It was. There wasn't a lot of schools that were offering storytelling, but Joey Cavalieri was my storytelling teacher, and he was editor at DC. And then Klaus Janson was my inker and storytelling, penciler teacher.
Joey Cavalieri. I worked in advertising for years and years and years and years and years.
And he talked about Camel Moon all the time.
He said, Camel Moon. I've been having these dreams about Camel Moon. If only we could sell more toothpaste with Camel Moon. And I said, what the fuck is the matter with you? This is gibberish. And the guy, I had a friend of mine, he collects Jack Kirby artwork. His name is Todd Sizer. And he passed through the agency I was working at, Linar, and he said, I'm starting my own agency. You want to come and do some work for me? I said, great. So I did work for him for years. And one of the references, this is maybe 2009 or so, and one of the references he sent me was Jack Kirby artwork. And I said, nobody's ever given me Jack Kirby artwork as reference. Who are you? What's happening here? And he said, I collect original Jack Kirby artwork. He's one of the #1 collectors of Kirby artwork. And he and I started talking, and the more we talked, the more I was dreaming about comics. And it was around 2009, and the iPads came out. And because of the iPads coming out, I said, oh, look at this Marvel app. And I was able to suddenly purchase all the Jack Kirby and John Byrne artwork that as a kid was out of reach, right?
Sure.
And then he said, what are you doing in advertising? You should go into comic books. I said, I don't know, can I? And he said, yeah. And he put me in contact with Joey Cavalieri.
Oh, wow, okay.
And that was 3 years ago about. And he put me in contact with, then a couple people wanted to hire me, and then DC collapsed.
Oh, yeah. I think Joey hated me, to be honest with you, because I was
your
kind
teacher?
I just, I was such an asshole.
And I never thought that.
You know what's really funny? I'll never forget this. I said, I was really into film at the time, and he wanted us to do like a short 8 pages or 4 pages, whatever. And I said, I'd rather make a trailer for Watchmen. And I was like, and I'll storyboard it, so it's kind of the same thing. And he was like, no, it's a comic book class. You're going to make a comic book. I said, all right. And then I guess just out of just interest, he was like, well, how would you do it? And I started explaining it to him. And I said, and then at the end, when they used the Watchtower song, I would use the new one. Well, not the new one, but I would use the one from Hendrix. And he's like, that's the stupidest idea I ever heard. And then that's exactly what they ended up doing in the actual movie. So
that's amazing.
He stole the idea, sold it to Hollywood.
Who knows? Can you imagine? That was actually what happened. He's like pitching that to Snyder, and he's like, "Well, how about we change the song at the end?"
I got an idea. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, I turned in comic books that I had made for my final and drawing class, and it really pissed off my fine arts teacher who wanted us to like sketch, fruit in a bowl and shit, and gave me a D.
Because comics are a lesser art form. Is that why?
Well, to him, and then my other professor, Glenn Godsey, fabulous artist, painter, was like, "You make comics?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're probably a really good artist." I was like, "Thanks, Glenn. All right, I'll take your classes from now on."
So FIT, down the road, we were always thinking SVA, that's the competition, right? But everyone in SVA thought FIT, what? No.
Who's FIT? Yeah.
We're not in a competition.
I think
that's just where the hot chicks go.
Fight.
Yeah.
And there were
fit chicks.
They were bursting out of the seams of the buildings. Hot chicks were just
at FIT?
Like a lava flow.
Yes.
Yeah, not SVA. I think we had two.
No, I know.
It was slim pickings.
One of them was gay, and the other one was leaving.
Yeah, and also we had the added benefit. I went to SVA right in the middle of 9/11, right? So
me too.
Right after that,
too.
yeah. So right as soon as that happened, they cut tuition because nobody wanted to go to the school in New York City. So they cut tuition by like 30-40%, and then we just got everyone. And honestly,
were you
I
at
lost
school
interest.
on 9/11?
I was supposed to be in school. I was supposed to be in class, but I commuted from Connecticut. And so my mother was like, "You're not going in today." And I was like, "Why?" And she goes,
that's why
"Some plane exploded." And I was like, "All right." And then we found out what we found out. But I went the next day. And you could hear a pin drop, 30
I
feet
knew
down,
you
or
were
30
in
feet.
Connecticut. I knew you were in Connecticut by the potted plant behind you. It's just part of it.
Yeah, classy people.
and the rippled lighting.
Uh-huh.
I was at school on 9/11. I was stuck in Manhattan all day. I couldn't leave. I couldn't get out. Every apartment I have a friend that I knew, I was just stranded.
You were a sophomore or junior?
Junior, yeah. Are we exactly? Are you 42? Are we 43? Are we exactly the same age?
I'm 37.
What?
Yeah.
How did you go to SVA in two? Wait, am I that slow? Was
Maybe.
I slow or were you fast?
Because I was 19 or 20 when that happened. I was a sophomore.
Drunk. I might have just been drunk and in New York.
Yeah.
I don't remember now.
Yeah.
I had a painting class and a photography class. And I was in the painting class, smoking a cigarette outside, saying, "Somebody said a building hit the World Trade Center? What was it, a Cessna? What a retard." What an imbecile.
No.
And then we went into school and just went about our business of the day. And then somebody came running in and said, "Come look at the TV." And as we were standing there, the second one hit. And I took, because I had a photography class after the painting class. I said, "Fuck painting. I can't set up an easel." And I took the camera and I raced downtown. I passed SVA and I passed through Washington Square Park taking pictures. And then the buildings collapsed. And I went, "I'm going to go back uptown."
Yeah.
I'm going to go the other way now.
I was a freshman at 9/11 in high school, a freshman in high school. So you're all old.
Who is this child?
Way to make us feel welcome.
Yeah.
I was in New Jersey at the Kubert school, and I had Joe Kubert. I think it was my first class with Joe Kubert, and it was weird because somebody knocked on the door, and he goes out in the hallway, and he comes in, and it's like, Joe had a stone cold face, and he's just kind of like, "I have to tell everyone we're under attack." It was just a surreal moment, and then because at first it was just the one building, right? So pretty sure then we continue with class and he's just telling everybody to, everything's fine, sit tight. Now he's not telling everybody's fine, but he's wanting to continue on his normal. And then of course, a little bit later, there's another knock. It's like, yeah, another plane hit the tower, and we're all shut off from, there was not really smartphones or anything then. So nobody really knew what the fuck was going on. Or nobody in class had one. That was such a weird time. I have friends, I don't have kids, but their kids don't they think like 9/11 just happened a million years ago or something. You know,
It's
like
weird,
when you're
yeah.
10 years old, like if you say, hey, you know, like, you know, to them,
But that
it's
was
like
my age with people in Chernobyl, right? They would tell me about Chernobyl, and I didn't know what the fuck. It seems like 100,000 years ago to me.
Yeah, it was so weird in New Jersey after 9/11 because, you know, there was like a lot of people would commute and we'd pass a train station and there would just be like a parking lot of cars there, you know, people that never came home. And the cars driving around in New Jersey, you know, everybody wanted like, you know, American flags drawn on the back of cars, you know, like people wanting war, you know, it was just like crazy. Everybody in New Jersey, like, they were like bloodthirsty, you know, like I don't know how many people from the actual World Trade Centers were New Jersey people. I assume a lot, but it was just people just wanted war the next day. It was crazy.
You know, it's funny you should mention that, you know, because I was working in the media department of the Presbyterian Church USA, right? So I was a web developer, and I literally remember that afternoon. You know, because we're in the media department, we actually had subscriptions to some of the live feed, the network feeds. So we were watching the network feeds rather than the TV. And so that afternoon, when we knew that this was an attack, we started getting requests from like the highest point in the church to like, hey, we need you to start researching just war doctrine and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, holy shit, man, the Presbyterian Church wants to go to war. And this was like literally the same day.
It was wild. It's wild.
Anyway,
Shane,
back hail salad.
Speaking of that,
wait, I have a question. Shane, you were at the Kubert School?
Around that same time, yeah. So we were all kind of like in art school, it sounds like, at the same year at one point in time. All in the same, probably couple of miles. I mean, Dover, New Jersey was probably like, go ahead.
Are you an artist? I assumed you were a writer.
No, I'm an artist.
You feel like you either feel like a writer or a millionaire. One of those things. It could be both.
Sure.
No,
it's just
no,
right?
I'm
You're
not
not a
either.
writer?
No, I've written before. I've written a couple of things for DC, a couple image things. So I've done some writing, but predominantly penciler. So we're done a lot of stuff for DC for probably about I don't know, like most of my career, like 15 years or something. DC penciler. Currently, I'm working on the Metal Men book that's coming out right now until I get canned off of it. Like, actually, it's weird. DC's they've been pretty cool. Like, I turned in some pages today, and after the Tom King debacle, I figured I'd be fired today, but evidently not.
Wait a minute. You're working for DC. You're working for DC right now?
Yeah.
I'm finishing up.
Oh, wait.
I made that's part of the story about talking about Ethan and stuff. Like, I made a conscious decision. I don't want to be part of mainstream exactly ever again. Like, it's just gotten too crazy. The infighting, the mentality of people on the inside are eroding really hard and really fast.
Can you tell us that I have a terrible secret to
terrible secret.
It's terrible. I don't know.
Charlie gets closer.
Dude, I don't know you that well. That's I'm just gonna lay that on the table.
Just bear with me.
I have
with me. Lon, are you getting closer? I don't know anything about DC. I don't know anything about DC Comics.
It's okay.
I think So, wait, you just said
I
you're
got
working
you
on
covered.
Melvin? I've seen drawings of that stuff. That stuff, I've heard of that. Is that fellow in the front? Is that the Shadow?
Yeah, that's the Shadow.
It's Dick Tracy.
How many camel moons have you had, Charlie?
Camel moon.
Too many camel moons. Yeah, dude.
Line
We
up
got
my
everyone's
camel moon,
stats.
Professor.
This is
So wait a minute.
Shane, you said you were a penciler?
Yeah.
When I first started showing my portfolio around, Michelle Delecky was actually the one who critiqued me.
She's actually a really nice person, my ex-wife.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
How many secrets do you have?
I just, it was really, it helped me out.
This must make you feel very important.
I'm going to change my name to
It's possible
Cancel.
that he says that. It's possible that's his answer to everything. She's my ex-wife.
Oh, well, yeah, anyway.
So now,
Nice to meet you, Camel Moon. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I feel a lot more comfortable now asking about the DC, working with DC right now. I was like, kind of like, should I not ask about that? But now that we have ex-wife stuff out of the way,
Yeah, you can ask about anything. Now, once you breach that surface, I think everything else is game.
I genuinely didn't know. I just thought she was your anchor.
No, we worked together for years. We still work together even after we got divorced. It was mutual interest to get divorced. So it was a friendly divorce. Are we really? Why does this go south? How the fuck am I talking about my divorce? John, get in here. Get me out of this. Let's talk about Attack Cats. Let's talk about John. Where are you? Attack Cats. No, we had we just mutually wanted a divorce. There was a lot of stuff going on in my life. This is about the same time Ethan was talking to me about Comicsgate. I had family members that were really sick, and I was like, we should get divorced. And not because of that. I mean, she had feelings about certain things, We had so I was like, we should just get divorced. And that was pretty much it. We still worked together a ways into after that for years. So we still work together on time to time. We're not working together now, though.
It wasn't me. For the right, it was not me.
Tell me about
no. She's with someone else now. I'm remarried. Everything's fine. So I mean,
it's cool.
Unless you're going to tell me that you're screwing my ex-wife, I don't know where this conversation's going.
I really want to know about DC though. Is what I want to know.
No, I literally knew her through a friend on Facebook, and I was like, "Oh, she's professional." So I sent her my portfolio, and then we would talk every so often. She's like, "Change this, fix that," but she was really nice and helpful. So that was all I needed to say.
But Shane, did your parents beat you?
Funny enough, you should ask. It was like they made me walk on glass. I never understood that part of it. Like my father would empty the bottle, then crush the bottle and make me crawl across it. It was the thing.
Oh my!
Yes, he sounds like my kind of a fellow. Very strict and very strong. Very good.
See, this is where you should take a page out of Tom King's book and just say we're good.
Yeah, we're good. I talked to Michelle Delecki and we're good.
We are not good.
All right, Jay.
Yeah, I'm really asking
down over there.
Okay.
Good.
And I was worried I was going to say her name wrong. Who knew?
Wait,
that was
like what? Seriously, you had to know this before asking.
No, I didn't. I really didn't. That would have been.
Okay. So I got to ask about DC Comics. Speaking of DC Comics, all right. When you came out officially and said that you were Comicsgate, you're really going on Ethan's stream is enough. You go on Ethan's once, you're So you're going on Ethan's stream. Did you feel compelled to have a conversation with an editor or something beforehand? I mean, can I ask that, or was it just like you're a free man, you're gonna do what you want?
Okay. Well, it's so weird. Well, one, the political stuff just ratchets up to an all-time fever high with everybody. I feel like everybody, I can't think of, there's a lot of little incidences that kind of built up. They kind of just, it's like a static electricity ball where I'm like, this is a problem. I felt like I want to do more creator-owned stuff. That's fine. But the actual cancel culture shit that started creeping into comics, people calling, I don't know, Dan Slott telling fans, calling people racist. Yeah. Everything just, I don't, and nobody was reeling it back in. And it's weird because I've worked in corporate comics for, I don't know, maybe 16 years or something. There's never been more of a lack of leadership, I think, in with freelancers than recently. It's almost like everything's like the zoos, like a zoo with all the cages open. I don't know. It doesn't really seem like if a creator talks to a customer a certain way. Used to, that shit mattered. So a lot of people like DC would hand out emails where they're like, you're held accountable for things that you say on social media. And this was about the time it started after about the breakup between Ethan and DC and stuff, which I didn't agree on that. That was probably when I first saw cancel culture, but people weren't really labeling it anything. But that's when I was like, I see a bunch of pros, pencilers, artists, all of this in a closed group canceling somebody out. So a lot of times, like when you see like the Tom King thing, it's not really organic, I don't feel. Not that I'm in any of those groups anymore, but there's a lot of people behind a closed door, gnashing and thrashing their teeth. And then there's a not organic outrage and like, I'm so, fuck this guy or whatever, and it just spews out online and maybe a couple of different places or whatever. And the Whisper Network stuff that's going on is kind of, I assume, the same stuff but different crowd of people. I don't know, like it. So then after that, everything became accountable. That's where you'll online what you say, and that's where you'll see a lot of these editors have a disclaimer in their heading, like my views are my own. They're doing that so the company can't fire them for saying something, and you'll see a lot of creative do that, so everybody gets around it. But now they act worse. The lack of professionalism, I don't know, like, and it kind of also felt like a weird creative like choke point where like everybody's trying to come up with a new character without actually making a new character, which there's no incentive to make a new character for Marvel and DC. But it's weird because there's a big need for it, but nobody wants to do it. And instead, that's where I feel like all the diversity swapping, race swapping, gender swapping character stuff comes from. Is they need new stuff. Yeah, they need new stuff, and they feel like they're catering to a crowd and diversity. But instead of making a new character, which no creator wants to give, or if they do ask, they get shit, they end up just like, let's just put Falcon in Captain America suit and we get something new. They're refurbishing in a weird way, but they're trying to pander at the same time. And there's not anything really genuine like in the industry anymore. It's becoming like I don't know that. So a lot of my problems have with companies, and then a lot of it has to do with creative integrity, I guess. Creator integrity. Like everything's crazy. I don't know. Like,
so
like,
I mean, you're sorry, Clint, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was wondering, it's just like they don't want to use up any good ideas because Marvel or DC will own them. So they just kind of swap superficial things that already exist because they can't own them anyway. Is that?
Well, yeah, because okay, so like if I'm gonna just talk legal shit out of school here. I'm no lawyer, but I know my contracts and what I get. But let's say if I make a character, like I've made tons of Red Lantern characters that are, and so did Ethan. He's made lots of Green Lantern characters. Every time they're in a video game, like you get an equity in it and you get paid, right? It's usually like, say, we're talking like micro percentages of pennies, but it adds up with things like video games. So you can get a substantial amount of money if a video game is a big hit, and especially if you have characters in it. Not so much with TV and stuff, but in movies. And you probably heard Ethan say similar. That's still a small percentage, and that's basically there to keep families, say, to keep my grandkids from ever suing the company because I've cashed these checks my whole life. It's not anything out of the goodness of their heart, even though they probably present it that way. As a creator, there's an incentive to do something and get paid, but it's such a small percentage that it's really hard for you to feel like, if you even have a good idea, do you give it to them or do you put it in your back pocket type thing? So what I feel what happens to the comic industry is you have to understand everything's built up these old work for hire agreements when it was only about comics and maybe not even trades, but just monthly comics. Now there's transmedia everywhere, and now the companies want to, maybe they justify by the corporate owners, like we're research and developing, we're developing new IP, new characters, adding on, refurbishing old characters, keeping property viable. So there's a big incentive to put something in new, but then there's not an incentive for a creator to give anything new. And I feel like you end up with this weird tipping point, fulcrum type thing on a seesaw where like everything becomes upside down, where nobody's reevaluated to work for hire agreements to make there a reason for there to be great creative stuff injected into the Marvel and DC comics.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And that's from I'm not saying a jaded artist, but that you're a guy in the end, you're a guy with a blank piece of paper. You know, it doesn't matter if somebody could hold a gun to your head and they don't know if you gave them your best idea. They don't know. Yeah. And I you know, so for Marvel and DC, they still need to make things seem new. Well, how do I make Captain America seem new? Or how do I make the Marvel Universe look new for this all new, all different relaunch? So to me, and I think especially looking backwards, you'll see this, is it was just easy to just do musical chairs with people's genders and race and end up with a whole new line.
Yeah.
But that's lack of any type of originality or creativity, devoid of any type of, you know, interesting problem solving, right? I mean, it's just like...
Hence the push toward creator owned, or the, you know, desire for making creator owned stuff.
Yeah, it can. I mean, if you'll notice around that time too, there's been a big boom in Image Comics, what people at one time called the second wave or the second generation of Image Comics. Whereas before that, a lot of people were just going into Image Comics just to get published to then get hired by Marvel and DC. Whereas it's the opposite now. A lot of creators are going for Marvel and DC than to go make a creator-owned book to sell to Hollywood. Yeah. It's really weird. The dynamics, if you look over, like, say, I don't know, 20 years, has really changed between corporate comics and creator-owned comics, especially when you just look at it through the scope of Image Comics and corporate comics.
Yeah. So I got a question for you in the chat from Reno for $10. Thanks, Reno. Appreciate that. He says, question for Shane: why do people at the big two act like they are avant-garde artists? They work
Clint, if you can't say that, I don't know if we can work together anymore.
I can type it.
Avant-garde.
I can type it. I just can't speak, especially not on stream. They work for billion-dollar multinational corporations, and their work is heavily edited to ensure there's nothing too edgy. They'll act like they're
Can I answer that for a second? I know.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Rhino. You have to remember, there's art and there's commerce, and it's an industry, and commerce is the main goal. And those people who are in the suits, and they're answering to the people that are investing their capital, and they have a proven method for delivering what they know sells, and they don't want to change it too much. So, Shadowhawk is absolutely right. Nobody buys them now. So they're sort of answering to two things, but they forgot to answer to the market. So Clint, today in your video today, it was a great video. Everybody should watch the video you made today. And you were saying there was Ren or somebody who runs the industry. This person or that thinks they run the industry.
Yeah.
Who runs the industry? The market runs the industry. The consumer runs the industry. People buying the books run the industry. They decide. I mean, Jack and Stan, they made 1,000 books, and Carmine Infantino, and they made 1 billion books, and they made 1 billion versions of everything. And what sold? That's what they kept making. They made 10 versions of this and 1 sold, and they made 10 more versions of this and 2 sold. So those 2 that came out of the back pipe is what they kept making, and that's the Fantastic Four and whatever else. That's who runs the industry. They're not trying. And the people
not
have
anymore.
A second thing, right? But so they're such religious believers or ideological believers that they're going to try and force what they think. While they think they're being avant-garde artists, it's not an avant-garde. It's commerce. Can you make something that somebody wants? Can you deliver it to somebody in a way that's fun and exciting? And they've signed off on both of those things because they're not answering those. They think they're avant-garde. They're not avant-garde.
Isn't there...
Yeah, every artist, no matter how much they've sold out, still likes to think they've kept their integrity. I mean, that's just human. Like well, yeah, they are. You ask like a hardened criminal behind bars who's murdered people, like, do you think you're a good person? And they'll be like, well, mostly, yeah. Like, that's how people are. They're like, I'm not that bad once you get to know me. Like, same with artists. They're gonna think that they're kind of edgy, whatever. avant-garde.
Let me speak for myself, and let me also take this moment to speak also for Cameron Moon, and let me speak for Vaughn, and let me speak for Clint. I don't know about you other two guys. We're terrible people. We're terrible, terrible, terrible people.
Well, Clinton, not.
I just want to sell you a comic book. I just want you to be happy about it. I just want your money, and I just want you to be happy about it. I'll give you a good comic, and you give me the money.
I do bad things.
We'll both be happy. When I was an artist in school, they said, "Do you want to make money?" And I said, "Yes." So I went into advertising, and I said, "Step one, I'm gonna sell out hard. I'm gonna sell out completely hard." And I worked for corporations, and I sold toothpaste, and I sold Coca-Cola, and I sold drugs that nobody needs. And if you give me the chance, I'll sell meth, I'll sell Marxism, I'll sell whatever you want. I'll sell it to you. I don't care.
Breaking Snogans over here.
Let me let me give it to you. And then let me rephrase it. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm just trying to make something cool roll a little bit. Let me just get it to roll a little bit. Let it be fatal. I just want to roll a little fatal into your life. You like some artwork? Let me give it to you. That's all I want to do. Yeah. Do you like my artwork a little bit? Then let me give you a lot of it. And me and Clint, I think Clint might have a little more integrity than me. Because, I went...
Zero integrity. I'm a terrible human being.
Excellent, Clint. And
I'm reminded of that in the comments.
Let's just take a lot of drawings. We'll stack up a lot of drawings in a pretty nice book. Clint knows what they smell like. Adam Post knows what they smell like. They enjoy the production side. Clint's an excellent writer. He showed me dialogue. It's beautiful. Shane makes beautiful artwork. Shane, have we seen Shane's artwork? Can we put some of that up?
Who I was like.
Camel Moon's telling me great jokes. These are people here. Let us help you.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
So I have a question, and I realize now that my attempt at an hour-long live stream has already failed. But I'm going to ask one more question here, because now I got thinking about it. Because you're right, Charlie. The market decides, but I kind of think that this is a bit of the problem with the industry from an outsider's perspective, is that they're not. There are a lot of other motivating factors besides just, do comic fans like the comic? It seems like because there's Hollywood involved, there's these other big companies, and they're always trying to justify it by movie and Netflix, that perhaps there are some other factors. They're not just their, it's almost like the actual comic fans have become secondary to some other outside forces. Is that just me, or is that true? I don't know, Shane, if you have a comment on that.
I have a true story on that. So I was working on Middleman. I had 3 issues done before it even solicited, and I was sitting down and I was talking to the publisher at the time, who was also the writer, and we were just talking about what we were doing upcoming, and he was like, "Yeah, I just took your issues and tossed them to the TV people." And I just looked at him like, "What?" And he saw that I was offended, because one, I don't want to draw a TV pitch. I actually just wanted to make a comic book. Yeah. And that was the state of the industry. I realized is that there are some books that they're not making because they want to make a book. There are some books they're making because they want to toss it up the ladder for streaming services or whatever. So, that's the reality.
Shane Davis, I just looked you up on Google and you just said Middleman. Forgive me.
It's okay.
For being so unknowledgeable.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. I'm serious.
This artwork is so cool. Are you kidding? Can you share a screen with just Middleman?
No,
Shane
we don't have to. We don't have to. We've done the ex-wife thing. We don't need to do this.
That you want to put up there?
Well, I have a sign-up list for an Indiegogo if anybody wants to check out Starlight Cats. But that's the only thing I have to show.
Do you have some art for your new project?
I'll bring something up here in a second. I don't have it on this computer, but I'll download it.
Well,
right.
while we're waiting, yeah.
But that's
Neil
something though in the industry though that is a real thing. Streaming content
what
for
Metalman
TV
is.
shows it's a thing, and it's I think that's depressing because I think it can become a bit of an issue with not genuine comic book material, in my honest opinion. So
yeah, let me tell you, everybody, if you're in the chat, check out Hell Salad. Right now on Indiegogo, 23,000. This is already a successful campaign. I think it deserves to be even more successful.
Oh, thank you.
Chicken ass.
So check it out.
And check out the videos.
And the video.
Yeah. The trailer's coming soon. It'll be up a day or two.
Nice.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I saw a screen shared, and so I shared it. This is from Vaughn.
This is the cover of Shinobi Sasquatch versus Monster MD, everybody. We're going to add the logo, of course, but this is Rob Willis pencils and inks, and the beautiful, amazing Tanya Wicker, colorist of Monster MD, combining forces to make this. So everyone gets this 20-page issue free with your purchase of Monster MD or Shinobi Sasquatch. So if you back both books, you're going to get 2 copies of this bad boy.
That's awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it came out great. I'm really happy with it. And then as you can see, lettering is happening. Lettering.
Sweet. Eric's responsible for that. He does say he's sharing his screen. I'm assuming it's all the same stuff because he's lettering it. So
yep.
Sorry, Eric.
Eric's been doing an amazing job, guys. He's an incredible artist, and back his book, Battle Brick Road, if he didn't promote it yet. Oh wait, yeah, you did.
Yeah, Battle Brick Road.
You know
so many good
awesome
comics. Yeah.
Yeah.
So many comics. Well,
he's
I'm
almost at 70, right?
Almost at 70,000.
70K. Yeah.
Oh,
that's amazing, dude.
Wow.
He's sneaking up on Monster MD territory right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not surprised. Great.
Where
great
are you at, Vaughn? 80,000?
80. We just crossed 83 today, I believe.
Ooh.
And then we're looking at some artwork here. This is what has drawn the ire of Twitter, or art among this. I guess this is from.
Yeah, this is a page that we've shared, but it's been small. But this has been updated since then. So this is the final colors for this page. This is Farah, the woman at the not this woman. This is Jessica, the peregrine. But the colorist that you're seeing in action here is Farah Nurmaliza, and she is the lady in question that Remphamus went after this weekend. So definitely. So let me just say, Remphamus. I used this joke last night, but you got a larger audience, Clint. So Remphamus is going back for her title. She was the CG salesperson of the year last year, and she clearly is feeling like she hasn't gotten enough traction this year. So she's going to challenge Tampa, who in my book is the CG salesman of the year so far this year, and she's trying to get back into it. So I think we raised almost $3,000 this weekend after Ren started digging into Farah. And then,
can you cancel me next, please?
And let's see. Here's another page. I want to give you guys something nobody's ever seen before. Let's see.
First time ever.
This is taking off the head of the robot. Don't tell Piper that I'm showing you this page because I don't think we shared it yet.
Really,
if you saw how Piper was going after Ren this weekend, you know you don't want to be on her bad side.
Well, she'll knock your head off.
But yeah, Peregrine is in demand. We're about 13 folks away from 1,000 backers. We're just shy of $45,000. So this train is chugging along, and it's because of our amazing team like Farah that, and then Doug Franchen. I don't usually mention his name too much in tweets and things like that. But he's an amazing artist, and I was so shocked when EVS looked at his art and just went gaga for it. So
who was the artist? Doug what?
Doug Franchen. Yeah, he's actually worked with me on Door Kickers. So I brought Farah and Doug into this project, and They're pretty amazing. And then there's one other thing that I want to share with you guys. And this goes back to where
when you were a child and your parents beat you.
That's it didn't beat me. So I feel like some elder abuse may be in my future. No, so I don't know if you. So everybody knows about what happened with Doug. I mean, not Doug, Farrah this weekend. What a lot of people didn't realize was the real nastiness was saved for Ian. He is my penciler on Door Kickers, and we're wrapping up Door Kickers, and when we were starting to launch Peregrine.
Am I out or did
I'm just sitting here.
I see.
He's thinking.
I think his
He's
parents,
real quick.
his parents are beating him right now.
And so,
what is that we're looking at?
So here is.
Okay, I'm getting things mixed up, but we're having a few technical difficulties. I think I don't know if it's me or someone else, but
so
Scott,
So this is the piece in question. So this was the first kind of image of Peregrine we did after we designed her costume, and we had it colored and everything. And this was like their first kind of thing and so they ran Doug all the way down to the bottom of our campaign, which is where this is, because it's just a print for the campaign. And she's like, oh my God, look at the thigh gap. And hips can't bend like that. And where is her foot coming from? And there was just this real kind of nasty critique on the artwork. And, where are her organs?
To critique.
Exactly.
So she has to go after stylized work. Who the fuck critiques stylized work?
Exactly. And then, her Notice Me Senpai, Chody boys showed up and started doing wire diagram underpinning for where the bones should be, but they're not. And how does this work? And what's the mechanical angle here and all this kind of stuff?
Those people don't even know what gender there are.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Just the sad thing is Ian is just, Ian works for Pete Smetti on Mighty Mascots. He's an amazing artist, really great at that kind of simplistic, cartoony style. I don't know if if a book like Door Kickers, he's best used. I think something more fun and action oriented, like Mighty Mascots or even Peregrine is better suits his style. But man, just the venom that came from these people, it really made me feel bad for him. And so, this is just who they are in their hearts. They're just petty people who want to hurt people's feelings. And, the thing is, the reason why CG is not a hate group is because we don't do this to people. We may make fun of somebody, but we're not sitting there. Like if somebody did a graphic for Infamous, we wouldn't go after the graphic artist that did the graphic for Infamous. That's just not who we are. But that's who they are, and that's how who know what they represent.
I don't know. Clint killed 7 people this week.
Wow.
At least.
I wasn't supposed to tell anyone. I'm sorry, Clint. He did. He killed 7 people.
Where the bodies are buried, I'm sure.
Well, they're not buried yet. They're just stinking up in a pile in the backyard.
We're just having first we're having sex with the dead bodies, but that's
God.
Here's the business arrangement. He kills them, and I love them. All right, but
can we time him out?
That got dark. I have no transition for this, but here's some of that art from Shane Davis.
Get some sand sanitizer on after that. Okay.
So this is your book. When does this come out? Next month? 2 months?
I think we're launching September or October. I could launch now. Like I basically have 4 color pages and 2 covers done. Excuse me. The only thing is I wanted to get a lot of the DC stuff off my plate first. Kitty cats equals shut up, take my money. Yeah, that's kind of the idea here. So People know me for making deck stars, so me and my wife have been working on this for years. We always wanted to do more with a type of space cat type book, and even friends were like, hey, you should pitch this to DC Comics, and I'm like, why the fuck would I do that? So we've been working on this for like 3 years. But the general pitch of it is Starlight Cats is an intergalactic action adventure. It's going to be a 48-page graphic novel that chronicles the exploits of a little girl named Rebecca Chow, who's a girl in the photo, and the street cat Barnaby, which is the ginger cat. The ginger cat's actually kind of based off my wife's cat in Singapore, and the street cats in Singapore have a very weird life where they're actually they have like people that come and give them food on the side of the street like every week, and they basically sit in the sun and bake and watch people walk by in front of like $5 million mansions. It's really weird the way the cats are in Singapore.
They sound like those trust fund homeless kids that show up in the city and just sit there like the nice neighborhoods getting everything handed to them, and then they get a new tattoo or piercing with the money.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, so when I say street cats, these aren't like American like poor cats, but all the cats come from different parts of the globe. Like the yellow cat's the Morse the cat. He's the cat food American cat. His name's Salty, and he sells cat treats, and the cat treats are called Salty Balls. So there's a little bit of adult humor, not too much. But anyways, like the vicious rat-like aliens known as the Vericans are bent on conquering Earth, and only Rebecca and an elite team of cosmic-powered cats known as the Starlight Cats, aka Attack Cats, according to John Malin, stand between them and universal infestation. So basic is there were 5 jewels that cast out from like the Merlion, which is half lion, half mermaid, which is like a Singaporean type reference that a lot of people won't get, but it's an ancient beast, and it cast these jewels out, and one of the jewels was in her grandma's necklace, and it bonded to her, but was supposed to bond to a cat warrior, which she's not. The cats are actually aliens, and there's these rat aliens that have been looking for these jewels, so we end up following Rebecca with one of the jewels that has bonded to her but was supposed to bond to a cat, and she has to go to a cat kingdom, and all this jazz. It's kind of I keep referencing The Last Starfighter as a trying to that and Spirited Away, if you can think of those 2 movies combined. So it's kind of hard to. So it's an all ages book though, but it's not for kids exactly. Like when I say it, I mean it's like it's adults will like it just as much as kids like it. So
the true sense of the term all ages,
right?
It reminds me of The Cat Returns. Is there any influence of that in there?
No, that's a Studio Ghibli movie I don't like. So no.
You don't like that? Okay.
No, I don't like The Cat Returns. I didn't like that one, but yeah, no, it's kind of like that. I guess you could think of that. But I want this to feel more like a Green Lantern type space adventure that she gets sucked away on, because she ends up on the cat planet. They're having to try to sneak her in because she gets sucked in the wormhole that takes them there. But she's not a cat, so they're actually trying to hide her as the American aliens are attacking the planet, and then if they can all like do harmony through purrs, which imagine a little girl trying to purr like a cat, they can summon the Merlion, which is like this giant ancient beast that was an elder god to the cats that came to Earth wounded, but they can resurrect him to stop the invasion. But it's action, but it's kind of like a weird teamwork kid type action. But honestly, it's flying cats. People love it, especially adults.
Cool.
What is John going on about? Pioneer Tier was a first spacecraft to visit Jupiter. Why is he doing this?
He's been giving facts on space, Jupiter. I guess. I don't know. I've been kind of looking at it as we go.
I love it.
I appreciate
no space cats were detected.
Do the cats have sex with dead bodies?
No, we don't have that in this book.
You doubled down on that one, huh? All right. Last thing here. I appreciate everyone coming on the stream. Love you all. We'll do it again for sure. And just I'm going to leave you with Fatal. This is Flynn's Alien Termination and Logistics. And this will be coming soon. So quick update. The books, the printer tells me they are shipping the books. They're leaving their facility here in the US on August 7th. That means I expect the books probably around August 9th or 10th. And then I will immediately begin to ship out. So that's the plan. So I'm
then
thinking,
when do we
launch? So I'm thinking that it'll probably be, well, it depends on how we want to do it. But we could go like August 15th. No, that's my anniversary. I can't do that. We could do August 17th would be Monday, or 18th is a Tuesday. I don't think it matters. I used to think it mattered a lot. I don't think it matters anymore on the specific day of the week. But I'm guessing I should have I really should have all the books shipped out by then, I would think. Or we could go to the 14th even. That would be Friday. So I don't know. Me and Charlie will talk about it, but regardless, everyone should be getting their books soon. So appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next stream. Bye, everyone.
Make sure you have sex with dead
Bye,
bodies.
everyone.
Bye bye.